Today we're looking at linear patterns and using the calculator to help us find our rules for our linear patterns and sketching our graphs with them. Our steps for our calculator: we're going to click on the Stat button and Edit. We're going to go enter our X values into L1, our Y values in L2. We're going to then calculate a linear regression using L1, L2, and a frequency list, and then we're going to store these things so that we can have the rule. So we're going to be using a ti84 plus graphing calculator. Here's my first problem. I have my table of values here, so I'm going to turn my calculator on. I have all kinds of stuff into my stat plot. I'm going to click on the button that says Stat. I'm going to go into Edit. I have a lot of information here, so I'm going to move up to where the L2 is highlighted and hit Clear. Make sure you hit Clear, not Delete. If you hit Delete, it deletes the list completely, and therefore has to be reinstated and reset in the calculator. So here, the L1, I'm going to go through and place all of my X values. So I'm going to start with 0, 1, and 2. I'm not going to put the 3 and the 12 because they do not have corresponding Y values. I only put the ones that have corresponding Y values. My Y values go into L2. So I'm going to place 3, 4, and 5 into L2. We have those information I'll put into the calculator now. If we look at our instructions here, our instructions after we put them in, says we're going to go back and hit Stat. I like to always go back to my home screen, make sure I start fresh, and I'm going to hit Stat. Notice it says Edit, Calc, and Test. We're going to move over one place to Calc. We're going to calculate something. We're going to calculate number 4, the linear regression. You can either hit the number 4 or arrow down to 4 and press Enter. I'm going to press the number 4. For my linear regression, my X list should be L1. It is. My Y list is L2. It is. My frequency list, I'm going to leave that blank. But I'm going to move down here to where it says Store Reg X. That's store or register our equation. Store my equation, I'm going to hit the variables button, this bars. I'm going to move over to the right where it says Y bars, Y variables. I'm going to go to number 1 for functions. And I'm going to store this into the first place, Y1. Once I've done that, I hit enter and it says, do you wish to calculate? So I press yes, I enter it. And here's my equation. If I go up here and hit Y equals, my equation has been placed into Y equals, and there is my rule. So right here, my rule is Y equals X plus 3. The one that's in front of the X, we do not have to place it. Notice I have here my stat plot is on. I need to move up here and turn that off to make sure that I don't have extra information showing up. If I go over here to graph, it's not showing up like this one because my graph is not set correctly, so I'll readjust my window. I'm going to make it just a -10, a +10, leave the X scale as to 1, make my Y minimum -10 and my Y maximum +10. So now when I go to graph it, I get a nice pretty line that goes like so. So my graph is going to look, it's going to go through this point here and up like so. I now need to get my values here for 3 and 12. I can get that from my table view right here. So I hit second and the graph button, because right above graph it says table, so I press table. I've got all kinds of crazy numbers here because my table is not in the right spot. So here, my table settings, I hit second and window. My table is set to start at 3,360 from a previous problem, so I want to go back. Let's start it at 0, and let's count by ones. So now when I go to my table, my numbers look a lot better. So I need to find the value for 3. So X equals 3. My Y value is 6. So I place a 6 here. Then I need to find the one for 12. So I just move down here to 12. And it's 15. And I now have completed my table. In example 2, we're going to do the same type of process for example 2. So my first thing is, let's get out of here. I'm going to go into Stat and Edit. I need to clear out the information that I had here. Both lists cleared. I now go in and put in the information that I have. I have 0, 1, and 2 for my X list. For my Y list, I have 0, 2, and 4. I go back to my home screen. I now hit Stat and move over to Calculate. I'm going to calculate my linear regression, which is number 4. L1, L2, and frequency list stay the same. I'm going to store this. So I hit Variables, Vars, Y variables, and Function, and 1. Press Enter, and then calculate. So now whenever I hit my Y equals, my equation is Y equals 2x. I can now go ahead and complete my table. So I can hit second and graph to have my table. I need the value at 3, so I arrow up here to 3, and that's a 6. I need 34. I can just scroll down here to 34 because it's not too far away. If it was several hundred away, I would go back to my table settings and tell us to start at that point. So at 34, this would be 68. I now want to see what the graph looks like. My basic graph looks like it's right here going through the origin. So it's going to look like so. So we've completed example 2. Looking at example 3. Example 3, we're going to do the same thing. It's the exact same type of table. It's just turned on its side as opposed to being vertical. It's horizontal. So I go in here to Stat and edit my list. I like to always start fresh and clean, so get my list cleared. L2 is cleared. L1 is cleared. So I have 0 and 1 and 2. 0, 1, and 2 for my L1, my X values. For my Y values, I have -8. When you're putting in -8, make sure you use the negative sign down here by our decimal point and not the minus sign. It will give you errors in your calculator if you do so. And then -2 is my last Y value that I have. I go back to my home screen by doing second mode, just second quit. I go back now into Stat. I'm going to calculate my linear regression now. L1 is good, L2 is good, frequency list. Here's where I'm going to store my equation. So I hit the Variables button. Move over to my Y variables and functions, number 1. And I'm going to store it in number 1. And you press Enter and then say, let's calculate it. And if I click on my Y equals, my rule is Y equals 3x. Instead of putting a plus -8, we're just going to write -8. I'm going to go ahead and get my values here. So second graph, that'll give me my table. I'm going to move back up here to 3. 3 is way up here toward the top, so we scrolled around. At 3, our value is 1. Now I need to go to 108, and I could go through and I could scroll, but it might take a while. So I'm going to go back to my table setting. So second and window goes the table setting. And let's tell our table to start at 108, since that's the value that I need. So now if I go second table, the first number I see up here at the top, X value of 108, tells me this one is 316. So I'm going to draw my graph now. To sketch it, I hit Graph. And it looks like so. It's going to go way through down here, and it's going to be a little steeper than the other ones were, but not a whole lot. And there's our graph. Using our statistics and graphing utilities to find linear patterns and rules. Good luck.